I'm in the new Renault Sport Megane. Next to me is a Seat Leon Cupra R. Next to that is a Honda Civic Type R. Next to that is a Peugeot 308 GTI. And next to that is a Hyundai i30N Performance. Now we're going to have a drag race, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to turn your notifications on so you're alerted when we make a new upload. Also, why not follow me on Instagram at MattWatsonCars. All these cars are manual, they're all front wheel drive. Now we have had a bit of a problem with one of our drivers who was off sick today, but I managed to find a 15-year-old boy who's doing a bit of work experience here at the airfield, and he's just offered to drive the Peugeot, so hopefully he'll be all right. Let's find out. Good start by me. Oh yes! But now the Civic Type R is coming past so fast, and the Cupra. What's happened to me? Come on! I'm in the i30N. No, no, no.
So then, what exactly happened? Well, the Civic was ahead for most of the race, but was being caught by the Leon all the time. They both crossed the line in 14 seconds dead, but the Civic was ahead by a whisker. Next was the i30N at 14.7 seconds, which managed to beat the Renault, which had the best start, but crossed the line in 14.9 seconds. Last was the Peugeot in 15.4 seconds. Now, before you blame its young driver, you should know that Louis Foster is actually a racing driver. Carwow sponsors him in Junior Ginetta, where he's third overall in the championship. Really, the issue is the 308's engine just tends to bog off the line, just like the 208 GTI's engine did when we drag raced that. But could the Peugeot do better in the next challenge?
Now we're going to have a rolling race in third gear from 50 miles an hour. Wait for everyone to get level and I'll call them in. Okay guys, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, pickup's all right. But no! That Seat's blown me away. In fact, I'm last. That Peugeot's doing really well now. It's between the Leon and the Civic though. I think the Leon just has it. This is last. I'm calling this.
In the end, it was the Leon which just managed to nose ahead of the pack, closely followed by the Civic, with the 308, i30N and then the Megane trailing in that order. But what will happen in the final challenge?
Now we're going to have a brake test from 70 miles an hour. When we hit the white line, we're going to do a full emergency stop and we'll see which car stops in the shortest distance. I reckon the Peugeot is going to do well because it's the lightest. Here we go. What? What happened there? Well, this is interesting because it's clearly between those three cars. I'm going to judge it now. So I reckon the Civic just won by about that much. That Hyundai and the Peugeot pretty much neck and neck. I'm quite impressed with the Hyundai actually because it's heavier by about 200 kilos than the Peugeot, and it's just got simple brake calipers, whereas everyone else has got super duper performance brake calipers. They're Brembo on the Renault, on this Seat and on that Civic. But the winner is, in the braking test, it is the Civic Type R.
Overall then, the Civic Type R won 2 out of the 3 performance tests. And on paper, it's the winner too, as its 2-litre turbocharged engine has 320 horsepower and 400 newton meters. Still, it's not cheap, as this GT model costs from £33,500.
The Honda Civic Type R has always been near or at the very top of the hot hatch segment, and this is no exception. It's a brilliant car. Now, the old one was great on the track, and this one is great on the track. It's also good on the road, unlike the old car. So yeah, you can be flying down a back road, and rather than jumping about all over the place, it just hunkers down and remains composed. And that front end, the differential just hooks up and allows you to put the power down. It's so good. And you need that diff because there's a lot of power. This engine is very strong. It has a bit more lag than the one in the Seat. It's not quite as quick, but it's still a mighty engine. The steering, it's so sharp and precise, and the feel, it's perfect. The gearbox, it's perfect. The brake feel, that's perfect as well. And then when you decide that you just want to go slowly, you put the car into comfort mode, and it is genuinely comfortable, unlike the old Civic Type R. In fact, it's just like a normal Civic. You can live with this car every day and then take it to the racetrack at the weekend. I also love the interior with all this flamboyant red about the place. The sport seats just hold you snugly, and the driving position itself is brilliant. A few things I'm not so keen on. The infotainment system, that's rubbish. Also, the exterior design is a bit questionable. Then there's the horn. You've got to hear the horn. In fact, tell you what, why don't you go to our Instagram channel? It's Car Wow Cars, because we've got a bespoke video there which actually shows the car's horn and some other behind the scenes footage. So go there and check it out. You can see what this car's horn's like. But yeah, other than those things, what a fabulous car.
In second place in the performance test was the Seat Leon Cupra R. And no wonder, because it has some impressive stats. Its 2-litre turbo engine has 310 horsepower and 380 newton meters. However, it is a limited edition and costs £35,000.
The standout feature of this Leon Cupra R is its engine, because it's just so mighty. There's no turbo lag. You put your foot down and it just pulls, and it's so strong. Now the rest of the car, everything just works really well. All the controls are nice. The steering isn't the sharpest, but it puts the car exactly where you want it to be. And when you've got the car in comfort mode, it just soaks up bumps remarkably well for this kind of car. It's really impressive. However, when you put it into Cupra mode, it then sharpens everything up and it cuts down the body roll, and this thing just grips and goes around corners so very well. It's all just unflappable, totally capable in that usual Volkswagen Group way. But in that usual Volkswagen Group way, it's also slightly lacking in fun and emotion. It's a bit ironic because Seat's tagline is actually auto emotion, but I'm not actually feeling that much. And that's the thing, you see. If I'm going to put my license in jeopardy, I want to be having big thrills while I'm doing it, but I'm just not getting enough from this car.
The new Renault Sport Megane certainly has more visual emotion than the Seat. It's definitely the best looking car here. It's powered by a 1.8 litre turbo engine with 280 horsepower and 390 newton meters, and it costs from £29,000 for this Cup version. But if you click on the pop-out banner in the top right hand corner of the screen, you can see the saving on this and any new car at Car Wow.
So this car has a lot to live up to. The old Renault Sport Megane was a fine driver's car. Now I should point out that this particular model is the Cup version, so it's got the Cup chassis, so you've got a limited slip differential for better corner exiting traction. In fact, all the cars on this test have a limited slip differential, and you need it. Also with the Cup chassis, you get lower stiffened suspension, and yeah, when you're just driving along normally, you notice it because the ride is all very jiggly and you can feel your moves wobbling about. It's not great, but the faster you go, the better it gets, and it just seems to settle down when you're going quickly. It's also got rear wheel steering, this car, which is unique in this segment, and it can feel a bit odd at first when you first turn the car into a corner because it just like starts to edge in, but then once it's in the corner it just feels so stable and settled. I do like it. Now I'll talk about what I don't like so much. So the engine, it's just a bit so-so. I mean, you saw in the drag race, didn't you? It wasn't the fastest car. Then the gearbox, so it's very short throw, but it's so notchy, it's not great for fast changes. Biggest problem for me though is the steering. So first of all, the steering wheel is really fat. I mean, I find it hard to hold in my lady's hands. But the biggest issue with it is the fact you can't really feel where the front wheels are pointing or what they're doing really. It's a good job they've given you this little marker here on the steering wheel so you know where you're aiming the car. it lacks a little bit of feel and fun, this new Megane. I'm really surprised and I'm a bit disappointed. It's no more engaging than the Seat Leon really, and I'm surprised that I've said that because there's no way I'd have been saying that about the old Renault Sport Megane.
But is the other French car in the pack any better? Well, the £29,000 Peugeot 308 GTI is the most subtle car here, and it's got the smallest engine too, though its 1.6 litre turbo still has 272 horsepower and 330 Newton meters.
As with Renault, Peugeot has a long history of making some fantastic hot hatches. So what's this 308 GTI like? Well, it starts off at a slight disadvantage to the other cars. First thing is the engine, 1.6 litres, but actually it's really strong on performance. There is more turbo lag than in the other cars, but once it's on song, it's powerful, and it's quite a light car as well, so it feels darty and agile. The other thing that's a bit weird is the driving position. So you have this small steering wheel and the dials above it, and the rev counter actually revs backwards. However, one thing I can't complain about too much is the low speed comfort. So when you're just driving around normally, it's not too bad at all for a hot hatch. It deals with bumps okay. Then when you drop it down a gear and you start to thrash it and you're going really quickly on a bumpy road, it's all right up to a point, and then it starts to get out of shape a bit. It's like it can't control its body movements and it's shaking and shimmying down the road. And it's a bit like when you go skiing down a black run with too many moguls and you're going quicker than you should and you're just on the edge of control, and you know that at some point you're going to lose it and end up tumbling down the piste and require airlifting off the mountain.
You could say Hyundai has a mountain to climb to get a foothold in the hot hatch market. Good job, the i30N Performance has the stats to compete. Its 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine has 275 horsepower and 378 Newton meters, and all for the bargain price of £28,000.
All the other car manufacturers have been making hot hatches for years, but this is Hyundai's first attempt, and what a way to come late to the party. It's a fantastic car. But I shouldn't be too surprised because the guy behind this used to work at BMW's M Division, and he knows how to make a car fun to drive, and that's exactly what he's done. So you can set up all the car's parameters individually so you can have it exactly as you like it. And I've got everything pretty much in sports mode apart from the suspension. If you have the suspension in its firmest setting, this thing just bounces down the road like a golf ball. However, put in comfort mode and it's actually all right. It's comfortable enough for everyday use. And when you go quicker, unlike the Peugeot which gets out of shape, this just seems to float a bit more. It moves around beneath you, but it's not a problem because it seems to be holding onto the road and in control. And you really feel part of the car. It's like it's pivoting around you. And that's what all the great hot hatches do. All the controls as well have a nice feel to them. The steering, it's a bit dead at first when you start turning it, but then when it's hooked up, you can feel what the front wheels are doing. The gear shift is lovely, the brake pedal's nice, the engine's okay, but for what it lacks in performance compared to, say, the Seat Leon, it more than makes up for in noise. Listen to this. It just pops and bangs like a rally car. I love it. I love this car. Great job, Hyundai. So then what's my final verdict? Well, in fifth place is the Peugeot. You know, it's a good car, but it's just outclassed by the other hot hatches. In fourth place is the Renault. So it's very, very capable, but it's just lacking a sort of fun factor, which is odd. Now, you could say the same about the third place car, the Seat Leon Cupra R, but it's just got a broader breadth of abilities than the Renault, and it's got the best engine here. Shame it's so expensive, which brings me on to the second place car, which is the Hyundai i30. You know, this is great value for money and it's great fun to drive. I love it, but not as much as I love to drive this, the first place car, which goes to the Honda Civic Type R. You know, on one hand, it's a track weapon, a precision instrument, then you press a button and it's an easy to live with family car. It is the best all-round front-wheel drive hot hatch.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it, comment on it and share it. Also click on our logo to subscribe to this channel, and if you click on the bottom right hand corner you can actually watch more of our content. Meanwhile, click over to the right to go to our deals page to see how much money you can save on a new car at CarWow.